Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor here and we have some news at last. It looks like Daniel Farke is set to be announced as Leeds United manager within the coming hours, which is excellent news. At last, something over the line. At last, a little bit of clarity. At last, a reference point and hopefully a blueprint that Leeds United can build on. We've not seen anything when it comes to incomings. We've seen a few, more than a few when it comes to outgoings, and I'll be honest, very disappointed with a few names in there, but I want to shout out in particular Mark Rocker, who turned up to training yesterday, which, in the midst of him leaving, he's there in the kit, he's there doing his fitness training. I know he's paid thousands of pounds a week and he'll be using that fitness to move on to another club. But I thought it was great that, there was a certain pitch that went out where he had his arm around Darko JB, probably talking to him, and he's probably mentored him a little bit, and he's probably not listened to a lot of the noise online, which is great. I'd absolutely love Mark Rocker in the Championship. I think it'd be brilliant, especially under the right manager, a manager who can really get the best out of him. I liken him a lot to Mario Vrancic, who was in that central midfield role in the Championship. Didn't quite work out for him at the top level, but in the Championship, that sweet left foot, he was fantastic. And you do wonder if he had his way, Daniel Farke, would he keep hold of a Mark Rocker to replicate a Mario Vrancic? I bet he would. But anyway, on to things that are actually fundamental. And yeah, it looks like he's coming to Leeds, which is great news. Stuff going on in the background, you can tell. Obviously, there's news at this moment in time that Leeds were apparently in for James Trafford, the massive signing that went on overnight, which is the Bolton, the loanee Bolton goalkeeper, who obviously is Man City's fourth choice, was signed by Burnley for around about 19 million, everything included, which is absolutely crazy. Crazy money for someone who's not even played Championship level. Leeds were in for him. It'd have been a brilliant sign. He's a top keeper. City really rate him. But by the by, it looks like Leeds now are going for the more experienced option, which is obviously Carl Darlow. Darlow, 32 years of age, has got a lot of experience. It's apparently between us and Bournemouth, and bids are essentially set to arrive really soon. Now, my initial thoughts on this are, I don't mind Darlow. I'd have preferred Darlow 6 years ago. Obviously, 32 years of age now. I think it's going to be interesting to see what Leeds are going to say to him. We were discussing this last night on the debrief. What are Leeds going to say to him to be able to convince him to come to Ellen Road? And the reason I say that is because he's not going to come to Ellen Road to be sat on the bench. So what are Leeds saying in these discussions? Because Bournemouth, you might expect him to go there and be sat on the bench or to be competing for that number one jersey. Leeds, Ilan Mele is still at the club. Joel Robles has been let go, we know that, but he's still going to be there training, trying to fight for his place. Now, Joel Robles, for me, and Carl Darlow are very similar. However, especially in terms of experience, same age, obviously, same probably top flight games and experience, maybe Robles even more, who knows. But overall, it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic now. Are Leeds going to go for a 32-year-old as their first choice? Obviously, Ilan Mele in the wings. There's not been a lot of offers for him. So what's going to happen there? Because as I've said, Carl Darlow is not going to be coming to Leeds United to sit on the bench. So is that going to be Ilan Mele on the bench? I know we're all going to be, well, yeah, obviously, Connor, to that statement. But Ilan Mele, I don't think, as a goalkeeper, will be wanting to sit on the bench for Leeds United to watch that space. So Daniel Farke, as we know, is set to take over Leeds United today. According to multiple sources, the Yorkshire club have a full agreement in place. The German will now oversee the Whites' pre-training tests and preparation for the new campaign. I've read several things and I've heard a couple of things that he's been in the country apparently since Monday. He's been conducting what's been going on in the background, which has been interesting. And yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how this develops, because it's going to have to start really quickly. I think, in my opinion, one of the big things for a Daniel Farke side, and we've got a special guest coming on the channel as well, everybody, later on, so look out for that one, who's going to give us a little bit more detail. But I think a combination of Buendia and Pukki was something absolutely magnificent, and we touched on it last night. But Leeds are void of a real playmaker. We're going to be playing a 4-2-3-1 system, which back in the day would have aided a Pablo Hernandez. Obviously, in the Marcelo Bielsa 4-1-4-1, it mirrored it a little bit, especially when we're going forward. Leeds are going to be without that now. So we almost need to get a playmaker, a number 10, which, they're hard to find. But it's going to be really interesting to see how Leeds go about this. Are we going to start trying to, go for maybe an advanced date in Gustavo Hamer? Are we going to go to Premier League level and try get a couple of loans in? James McAtee, an advanced date might be someone who we'll look at there. But Buendia was very unique, very, very unique in terms of his technical ability, similar to Pablo Hernandez. So with that, that ability to create something out of nothing, that's probably not on the James McAtee level. That's probably very different to a lot of the youngsters that are about in that lone sphere at this moment in time. Darko JB, I think he's not an out number 10, maybe a 6-8 sort of hybrid there. Archie Gray, but I think Farke's going to be looking for a more experienced playmaker there, and hopefully he's had assurances, because he'll have wanted assurances before coming into Leeds United, especially with the state that happened last season. So I think that's one to keep an eye on. And another one is a striker, in that infamous Norwich team, Teemu Pukki. I believe that season, his first season, scored about 25 goals in the Championship and 30 in all competitions. He was magnificent. Obviously got the double against Leeds. And he'll want that, I think. I think this is going to be Bamford's last. And I'm hoping it is. Even Bamford at Championship level, I don't want to see, to be honest with you. And I don't think Farke's going to get the best out of him. I think Leeds United need a player who is ruthless. And Teemu Pukki was exactly that. His anticipation in and around the box was unbelievable. His finishing ability was absolutely out of this world at points in the Championship. It was Premier League level in the Championship pretty much every single week. His guile, very, very, just a very intelligent footballer who rarely missed chances, was an assassin in front of goal, and that's not what Patrick Bamford is. So it's going to be fascinating to see what Lee's doing, that playmaker role and that Teemu Pukki role, because Buendia and Pukki that season and the seasons they were together were absolutely unbelievable. And I think Farke will be looking to mirror that. Can they do it? Who knows? So, As we saw last night, the James Trafford news was huge. But when we're looking just back at everything that's happening at Leeds, I found it interesting who they were taking videos of yesterday at training at Leeds Beckett. And the reason I say that is because it's almost, being part of being in the media sphere. I know exactly what you do when it comes to trying to boost someone. And it was very, from my perspective, being in the industry, if you will, what they were doing was trying to boost the likes of Joe Gelhardt. They focused on him in the first image. Then we saw images of him training, obviously online, which I think was part of his own sort of, the players normally go away and train with the company and they're doing finishing exercises, which is outside of Leeds' control. But Leeds were promoting a little bit of Gelhardt last night. They focused in on Archie Gray, obviously Darko JB, and obviously then they were taking pictures of the experienced heads as well. And I think that's how we're going to do it this year. I think that's what we're going to see a lot of Darko JB, a lot of Archie Gray, and then you're going to see Coops, Ayling, spatters of that, in and around the side. And hopefully we're going to have the likes of Somerville and Nonto who are going to be able to contribute as well and stick around the side. I don't think we're going to be able to keep hold of Tyler Adams, but he's replaceable, in my opinion. And yeah, I think the likes of Somerville and Nonto would be more difficult to replace. It's interesting when you actually look at Farke's Norwich side, the first Norwich side, because when they played that 4-2-3-1, there wasn't an abundance of pace. You look at that front line, Todd Cantwell was in there, Buendia was in there, Marco Stiepermann was in there, Onel Hernandez, I guess, a little bit of pace there, but not extremely quick. So yeah, when you're looking at our front line, which is literally like Nonto, Somerville, and you got Rutter in around there as well. These are quick players. So you wonder if that's the dynamic that he wants, or whether or not he wants more like creative players who are sort of intelligent in the pockets, or does he just want out and out pace? Because I don't think he's not worked like that in the Championship before. I mean, you never say no to pace, but it's interesting how his makeup of his sides have delivered beforehand. But Rutter, another one. I think we're going to see I think we're going to see Jorginho Rutter be a real focal point for Leeds this season. I think you can see it with the club's social media posts. I think he was on about 3 yesterday. Phil Hay was uttering it as well. I think Rutter, they've told him, look, stick around and we'll build you back up again. And if we get to the Premier League, then you're going to be a part of that and you'll have built your career, which, to be honest, I thought that's what Brendan Aronson would have done in his head, but he hasn't done that. For me, he's jumped ship a little bit. But Rutter, fair play to him. From what I was told, there was an official approach by Hoffenheim to Leeds, and Leeds said no, they wanted to keep hold of him and see how it went. So that's great news from a Leeds perspective. But I think that is, and especially with the amount of money we spent on him, it has to work for Leeds. And you know, with the likes of Gelhardt there, with the likes of Rutter there, with the likes of Rodrigo still in around about the place, with Bamford still being there as well, Leeds still need to sign another striker. We do. So what happens there? How does the dynamic change? And I'm hoping what we don't do is just neglect that strike option and just stick with what we've got. I think Leeds deal need to improve there. But guys, let me know what you think. A little bit more of an upbeat Rumour, which is great because, you know, it's nice when we're actually doing stuff. But yeah, guys, Daniel Farke set to be appointed, allegedly. We'll have a video on this later on as well in the day if we're able to get this special guest on. But thanks so much for your support, and we'll see you in a bit.